Welcome back to News Center. Of course, we are having a conversation on the strike of the clinical officers that has entered day 2. And of course, especially in the level 2 to 5 hospitals nationwide. And in studio, I am joined by George Kibora. We were having a conversation on the current situation. George, just coming back to you, let's talk about now what's currently happening in terms of negotiations. Let's call it negotiations. I know there's a meeting with the Minister of Health yesterday and today. Tell us about what has been happening in the meeting.
Yes, I think before I mention that, let me mention, you asked me a question about the current economic situation that maybe it cannot be able to support what we are asking for. But I need to say, when you talk about economic situation, it is even worse for these workers who have to commute daily, who have to go to the same supermarket where these leaders who earn more than $1 million goes, and they make a decision on poor people. And that is how the situation is dire. And even when taxation comes and all these deductions that's happening on their salary, they are most affected. So what we are asking even is not even going to suffice what is already the deduction that has been effected since last year up to date. So that is the dire situation that we want really to speak to the. And one of the issue is that we offer services that we cannot afford. And that's why you'll see we are asking for a comprehensive cover for our people. And we want the government to get to understand that that cannot continue anymore. Right. They need to get to understand that if I can cook for people, then I have to be able to afford the food that I'm cooking myself. Yeah, so that's the situation we have. Then when you're asking about the meeting that's going on, we appreciate that at least we have been invited on the table by at least the Minister of Health and the PS, Madam Mary Modoni, who I can say she's trying on her level best, and that's why I'm saying, like, we are breaking these figures for her to see what is it that is required. And some of the issue, actually, she wonder why are those issues that have been there since 2017, for instance, our career progression that has not been approved by the Public Service Commission since 2017, despite push and pull, that we still don't have an approved career progression to guide the career pathway for the clinical officers. And she said that they can be taken up. And we are saying that's good enough if it is addressed. At least we get to reduce the issues which are on the table. And when you look at the 10 issues, we are only saying that indeed, ni kuvumilia tu, we are actually trying to live and but to continue to offer services. So at this time around, we are only shouting it up so that those who direct decision, direct finance, let them get to understand that there is a sector. When we talk about it, like we need only 1 billion for clinical officer, the 1 billion is about the over 50 million Kenyan. Because when today they are not getting services, they are being affected. But we make a decision to build a building that will only benefit MPs using over 20-something billion. You know it doesn't make sense. Right. That priority can only maybe favor a few, but when it is for the majority who are poor, who do not sit on the table, then it doesn't matter. I don't think that's the way this government needs to move forward.
You've talked about having that conversation with the Minister of Health through the PS. Now, that's on the national level.
Yes.
There's the issue with the counties now, with the county governments. What's the way forward with that?
I thought you heard the governor saying that that's not their problem, it is the national government problem.
But now coming to you, because people
and that is why I'm wondering if it is indeed the national government problem, and they don't want to come on the table, they are against a court order, they don't want to obey court orders. So what do we do? I think the schemers, or rather the writers of our constitution, knew very well that how difficult some people can be when they are in position. And that's why probably the employees who are the weaker in this case were given the tool to hold them accountable going on strike. And that is why probably we are on strike. And then I want to say that the workers are not interested on how long they can go on strike. The issue is, can their issues be addressed? Even if when we gave the strike notice, and actually before we gave the strike notice, we had done our demand letter. 14 days, then we did a follow-up for 7 days, then we issued a strike notice for 7 days. If indeed we have a government that cares for its people, why couldn't they come on the table and say, no, we can actually escalate this issue in this manner. Let's give us 3 months. In the next financial year, we pick any item that is attached financially. How do you explain someone who was employed for 14 years and has never been promoted, and they are supposed to grow gradually? Do we have a rewind of life? Can we really backdate life? We cannot. These people, at every time of your life, if you have one baby today, tomorrow you have two, your people who depend on you continue to increase. So you only need to gain, you only need to benefit, you only need to enjoy your work by that time. It can never come back. So a decision that is delayed today can cost life. A decision that is delayed today will cause mental illnesses for workers by virtue of someone not making decision today. Right. So we are calling on them to make decision because they are the one who are the mantle. They are the one who are on the leadership. Let them make decision. But if at all they cannot, let them step down. We think when we look at developed country, people who cannot take responsibility, they step down. So if people are suffering and you're still seated there calling yourself governors and moving around calling rallies, I think this is what Kenyans should refuse.
Right. As we wrap up the interview now, let's talk about what's the way forward. How many days are we expecting the strike to go on?
I think this is the best question that can be answered by the government. But for us, we are saying, what is the strike meant to do? It is only supposed to amplify our problem and tell people that, yes, you see us seeing you in the outpatient, in seeing you in the hospital, we cannot afford the services we give you. Yes, you see us doing this, we cannot even afford our food. Yes, you see us doing this, we are starving. Yeah. We are asking the government to take responsibility and make the decision, even if it is tonight. We are not interested to go on strike. And that is why you'll see, when we are saying it is obvious that we have to go on strike, we said it is unfortunate. And the government is not unfortunate about it. I think you can see the way they are exchanging. They are not even remorseful about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and of course just highlighting some of the grievances clinical officers have. That is George Gibora. He's the Secretary General of Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. Of course, the clinical officers have actually gone on strike and they're on day 2, and with regard to the doctors, they're on day 20 today. But thank you so much for highlighting some of those issues. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having us. And if the president had, I think it is a high time he has to speak it. Let us not lose even a life because people are on strike.
Right, very well said. Thank you so much. Now, moving on, Kericho Senator Aaron Cheruyot has urged Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome to take action regarding the recent killings